Welcome back to Adobe Photoshop. So if you've ever tried to save your images, there's a whole process that you have to go to so that the settings and everything, color profiles, image size, sharpening are actually done correctly. And it can be extremely difficult. I found out that when teaching, the two most difficult things for students to learn or understand, because there's so many little bitty steps and they're always different, are saving and printing. And you would never think saving and printing would be that complicated. Actually, I think printing is probably even more difficult. So today we're going to take a look at saving. So we're going to do two things. One, I'm going to explain what I'm doing and why. And I've also created a set of actions. So all you got to do is click a button and it's going to save. Now, the settings or sizes that I save to might be different from what you want to use. And if that's the case, it's really easy to change the settings. Not only am I going to give you free actions, I'm also going to show you how you can save those actions. You can duplicate actions and even create your own actions, something that's really simple and easy to do. So we're going to slide on over to Photoshop and take a look at saving. All right, up here, we have actions right here. And if you do not have actions, you simply just want to go to Window and come right down here to Actions. All right, I've moved this window out on its own, so you're just seeing these. I have a bunch of actions. We don't need to see them. So the way this is, I've titled it Size, Save Action. This button doesn't do anything. It's just kind of a locator so you can see it. That's why it has the asterisk. Below that, we have Social Media 2024 H and one for V, and then one in red. The way Photoshop works is it doesn't understand the difference between horizontal and vertical, like saving by the long edge in Lightroom. So what you do is you create a saving action for a horizontal image, one for a vertical image, and then the red one is what we call a conditional action. And it's like if your image is a landscape or horizontal, use the horizontal action. If it's a portrait or a vertical image, use the vertical action. The red ones are the ones that you're going to click. All right. We also have two blue ones. Those are a little bit different. So I've created a bunch of base ones, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of what's inside of those actions. One disclaimer, I've labeled these as sizing and saving actions. The save as or save as a copy command isn't in the action. It's just really the sizing process, but it's more logical explanation. Because of the way actions work, and my computer is probably set up different from yours, it would not work so well to do the saving part. So you're still going to have to do the Command-Shift-S for save as or save as a copy, but I can show you at the end how to convert that so you can use the old save as command and be able to save as JPEG if that's something that you would like. Right here are the actions. This is the conditional action. This is another conditional action for 1,440 pixels. I use this for a website. This is for a small website. And then I have some just really generic basic actions, but you're going to be able to configure those differently depending on what you want. And I'll show you how those aspects of an action work as well. So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm just going to run you through what I did in the actions so it makes sense. So if you need to go in there and manipulate it, you have an idea of what you're doing and you understand what the saving process entails. All right, so we have an image here and I have a bunch of layers. These layers don't actually do anything on this image, but I just put them on there so we have it. So usually the first step for an action is I go up to Layer and Flatten Image. And what that's going to do is just compress everything that you did here into one image. So we'll hit that, boom. Because usually when you're outputting, you're not going to save the layers anyways. One of the issues you run into if you have a bunch of layers, when you sharpen an image, it must be on the image layer. And a lot of people try to sharpen the adjustment layers and it doesn't do anything. So this just solves that problem. Step number 2 is to size your image. So we're going to go up to Image and go down to Image Size. So the actions for 2024, 1440, and 500 are all web-based. When you save for the web, you are always in pixels. So this first one would be 2024. That's about the max size. And I'm just doing this on the width because that's the longest dimension. Resolution has no effect on pixel dimension. This matters. This doesn't matter what you put. Now, if you were to change this, it would change it. You need to go back, but just make sure it says 2024. Resolution has no effect. Hit OK. It resizes your image. You'll notice this image right here is at 66.7%. I'm going to hit Command plus just to make that 100. Steps sharpening your image. And when you sharpen your image, you always going to make sure that you're viewing your image at 100%. So we're going to come up here and I'm going to show you one of many different ways to sharpen an image. This is just an easy, simple way. We're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. Unsharp Mask has been around forever and it's still my favorite and what I used most of the time. Now the trick with sharpening is the amount is always dependent on the size of the image. Radius is how many pixels that is it sharpening, and threshold has to do with the contrast difference. So let me show you what sharpening is doing real quick. We're going to zoom into this image a lot. So the way sharpening works is it actually increases edge contrast. So this is an edge with contrast. Look, the mountains here are dark, the sky is bright. So what it's going to do is increase the edge contrast. And you can see this image is just one that I've downloaded and it looks like it's been sharpened before because this pixel here is brighter and the pixel on this side is darker. So that's what sharpening is doing. So if I tell it to sharpen the image with a pixel radius of 1 pixel this way is going to get brighter, 1 pixel this way is going to get darker if there's enough contrast difference for it to sharpen that area. So I'm going to hit Command 0 to get out of that. When we're sharpening an image, like I don't want to sharpen this value of the sky. There's already some noise in the sky. So we don't want to sharpen that. So that's where that threshold comes into. The lower the number, the threshold, and let me bring this back up so you can see what I'm talking about. So the amount, how much sharpening, in this case, we're 2024. I'm going to put 25%, I think. We'll try that. The threshold, the radius is 1, and the threshold has to do with this. So if we put it at 1, it's basically going to sharpen the whole image. So the lower the threshold number, the more areas are going to get sharpened. The higher the threshold, the more contrast difference there must be. So right down here, we have a threshold of 5. So that means that I need a greater contrast difference for an edge to be sharpened. So an area like this balloon here, we don't want to sharpen that. We just want to sharpen the areas where there's a strong contrast difference of the balloons. So as we increase that, we can change it. Now, for these saving actions, I've basically set these to 2, which is just kind of a generic default. I will show you how you can change it if you would like. We'll go ahead and hit OK, and we're done. The last step is to go up to Edit, and then go down to Convert to Profile. What Convert to Profile does is allow you to convert the color space that you work. When you are saving images for the web, you want to be right here in this sRGB color profile. You can see my working space was Adobe, and I'm going to convert Adobe to sRGB because that's what the web uses. I'm going to simply hit OK. You won't see any difference. And that's basically what the actions do. So let's go ahead and run those actions on these images so you can see how much quicker the process is. And then after that, I'll go in and show you how to alter or manipulate the actions. So we're going to come up here and just go File, Revert. So Revert just takes this back to its original state. I'll hit Command 0 to fill the screen. And I can simply hit, remember I'm hitting the red ones. We also have quick keys in here. So I added the quick key, Shift F1, and then Shift F2, F3, F4. If you want to change those, I can show you how to do it. So this is in what we call button mode. To play this action, I can either click right here and it will run like that. That whole process is over. Or I can hit Shift F1 on my computer and that will do it. So on a Mac, it's just not hitting the F1 key. You have to hit the function F1 and Shift key. It's a little bit weird. We'll go up here. Let's hit Revert. We're going to run the 1440. Boom, size to 1440. Go up here. Revert. 500 pixels. Boom, it's done. You can see this is a tremendous time saver. So these next two actions I've added as blue, and one is saved for Adobe and one is saved for sRGB, because even though you print Sometimes some places want the sRGB color profile, and sometimes they want the Adobe color profile. The Adobe color profile has a larger gamut and has more colors than it does in the sRGB. So there is a difference when using it. In these actions though, I've created a lot of what we call stops because there's just not one size fits all. So I've created these so you have a good starting point. And the goal here is you can go in here and manipulate and change them so that these actions then work for you perfectly. I can click this and run it, and that's not going to help us any. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the hamburger menu and click on that and hit button mode. All right. And I will just simply make this longer because we're going to need to see that. And so right here is the Save for Print Adobe. That's what's selected here. So you can see right there, it's flattening the image size. There's a stop, unsharp mask, convert to profile. That's what it's doing. However, if you look at the 500 web image, notice there's all these little boxes that are grayed out. Nothing is selected. But when you come down here, I have a little box there, and there. What these boxes are stops. Basically, when there's a numerical input, it stops and let you manually add the number that you want. So before, when I was sizing for 2024 pixels, it's just going to save for that. In the case of saving, you might save something as an 8x10, then a 5x7. So you need those numbers to be different all the time. So I've created what we call a stop in the action. So I'm going to run the action now and you're going to see how it stops. It's really annoying. The goal is to understand what it does, and then you can delete the stops if you would like. So to run an action in the non-button mode, you just select it, and then you come down here where there's the little play icon and click play. And you can see it stops at the dimension for sizing. So we'll go to here. So I had this set at 18 inches by 12 inches by 300 pixels per inch. So for print, resolution does matter, and 300 pixels per inch is about the normal default, but you should always check with your printer or whatever you're printing on as to what those settings should be. So if I wanted to make this a 9, I could simply just change it, and it's automatically changing the ratio. This is a 2x3 image, so it's going to be a 6x9 image, and I can hit OK. So instead of sizing this at 12x18, it's now going to be sized at 6x9. I hit OK. So this next little window is a stop. And basically I'm giving you sharpening information because most people aren't going to have any clue. These are just generic numbers. You can use a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but they're giving you a ballpark idea of where the settings should be because you really don't want to over sharpen an image. So it's saying for 5x7, you want a amount of 40, a radius of 1, and a threshold for 2 for flat images, and maybe 3 to 5 for contrasty. And then for 8x10, use 50. And look, you can use a little bit more, a little bit less. But the key here is to remember that sharpening amount is dependent on image size. So you'll see as the image size goes up, I'm adding more sharpening to it. Once you're done reading that window, you can simply hit continue, and then it's going to stop. And now you can add or change that amount to whatever you wanted. So since I made this smaller, I'll make this 50 instead of 60 and then hit OK. Now my image has ran through. It has sized it, sharpened it, converted the profile. In this case, it didn't convert the profile because it was already Adobe, and you're ready to save your image out. So in the next step, we can change it so it doesn't stop on image size or sharpen the size. And to do that, it's really easy. So these little boxes right here, all you got to do is click on them and they go away. So if I run this action, it's not going to be stopping on anything. Okay. Also, if I wanted to get rid of that little stop that had the information on sizing, I could simply select it and hit delete, hit OK. And you can see it's literally gone now. I'm going to hit Command Z to get that back. So if I run the action, it's not going to give me the option to stop. So if you want to create an action without stops to your specific sizes, it's really easy to do. Let me show you how to do it. The first thing you're going to need to do is we're going to go into image size, and we're going to double click it. When we double click it, notice the record button automatically comes in. So I had this set for 12 by 18, but if you wanted this to be 9, you would hit OK and it automatically stops, and that's been changed. Same thing with flattening an image or image size. You double click it, the window is going to pop up. You change it to whatever you want, hit OK. It's done. Save that information. Change that inside of the action. So really easy to change stuff. So if you want to change the labels or the quick keys for an action, basically you're going to come up here and here to an action. And let me get one that's, so this one up here where it says 1440, let's select that. I don't have enough space on this one. I can double click this in the gray space where there's nothing, and it's going to bring up the action options. I can here change the name of it, and I can also change the function key, or I can just put none and get rid of the function key. I can add shift and command. So that's how you go in and manipulate or change what an action is doing. Now, if you want to create some new actions, they're really easy. Depending on whether you're trying to do a saving for a web or a printing action, we'll just do the printing. So you're going to come down here, select that. You're going to come up here. You're going to go to duplicate. You're going to come out here to the space, and you can also double click it and retype what this action is for. So I could just call this 1000 pixels, which really isn't an intelligent thing to do, but that's now the name of that action. And then I could come in here and change all that stuff. And now I've created my own action doing exactly what I want it to do. So that's how you can duplicate an action and create an action that works specifically for whatever use scenario that you would like. So the next step is to save as or save as a copy. So a couple years ago, they switched it so that save as won't let you save as a JPEG, and you have to use save as a copy to do that. I'm not going to get into the reason why they probably did it. What I'm going to do is show you how to change that. So if you do want to use save as, because save as a copy annoys you like it does me because I used it forever, it's easy. You go up here to Photoshop, Settings, File Handling, and then right here it says Enable Legacy Save As. With that checked, it's going to now let you do save as and save as a JPEG. Actually, you get all the options like you used to. That's it for this video. Don't forget, I will have a link in the description of where you can go on my website to download these free actions. To download actions onto Photoshop, it's really easy. They're going to be in a zip format. You're going to uncompress the zip format, and you're going to see the action name with the extension of ATN. All you need to do is double click it. If that doesn't work, which it will, you can simply come up here and go to here and go down to load actions. It's going to bring up your Finder window, navigate to the action, just open it, and you should be good. And you should see those actions appear in the window over here. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave those below. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day.